Hey there friends, Martin from Matthew Studio coming to you once again from my backyard on a beautiful Southern California day. Check it out, we got the sun right over there. So what did I do? I put up a Road Flags 4x4 silk right there, covering me from that direct sun. I got a 4x4 silver lame, giving me a little return, giving me a nice little edge right here. Look at that guy, ooh, it's so nice. Check it out, no silk, ooh, harsh, gnarly sunlight right there. And then thank you, Grips. Thank you for putting that beautiful silk in the air. That's what we're going to talk about today. We've talked about scouting locations. We've talked about clamps, the Mayfer, the Mathellini, the chain vice grip, Martin's favorite. We've talked about drop camera rigs, doing a drop camera rig through my daughter's dollhouse. We've talked about overhead softbox. That was so much fun. And in that post, we got a question about fly swatters. We all know what a fly swatter is in the house, right? You use it to swat flies. It has a long stick and then a big square at the end. Well, we rigged something called a fly swatter, which is that same visual principle where you have a long stick with a big square at the end, but our long stick is the arm of a boom lift, a scissor lift, a man lift, a cherry picker, a condor lift, an articulating arm. Whatever it is going to attach a 20 by 20 diffusion frame to it. In our case, you can also put a solid in there, you can put a green screen, a blue screen, all sorts of textiles. But in our case, it's taking a 20-foot frame, 20 by 20 feet, aluminum, and attaching it to the bucket of one of these lifts. Instead of calling it boom lift, articulating lift, condor lift, in this post, we're just going to call it a lift, a man lift. All right. So you've seen them. They have an arm. They go up and down. They have a little bucket on this end, or it's just a straight arm that'll telescope out, and people use them to trim trees, to do construction work. We use them to hang chain motors, to do rigging, to do all sorts of stuff. In this case, we use it to attach a diffusion frame to. That way you can have a big diffusion frame over a set without having stands all over the place, without having to tie ropes in every direction. It's a very cool way to be able to control a large 20 by 20 diffusion overhead. If you want to get it way higher up than stands will do, you know, your stands are going to max out at 23, 24 feet. But if you want to be able to really get it up there, you put it on a lift. If you're in a very tricky location, if you're in a swimming pool, if you're in a terraced patio, something like that, in between two buildings in a weird way, and you really want to be able to get that diffusion up there, this is going to be a great way to do it. Fly swatter. Let's get into it. I reached out to my friend Jeff Baker. He is an awesome rigging grip as well as a great set grip, and he is a student of the fly swatter. Every time I see a fly swatter come on set and he's standing there, he's always looking up at it, wondering, why do they do it that way? Why do they do it this way? What are those kickers for? What is this? What is that? He has questions. Why? Because so many people do them so many different ways. When you get into rigging, you realize that a lot of different people learn from different ways. They have their own philosophies. They have their own ways of doing things. So it's interesting to be able to see why people choose one style over another. Today we're going to cover a very basic way of doing it. There's many ways to do this. And this is by no way a guide, like a step-by-step guide on how to do this. This is just a demonstration of what a fly swatter does. So if you're going to put one of these things together, go get help. Talk to someone that knows what they're doing. Don't say, hey, I saw a video from this guy and he showed me with chopsticks. That's not going to fly. So make sure that you have somebody that knows what they're doing, has the engineering in mind, all the materials, the weight capacities, wind variables, all that different stuff. Very important. That's my disclaimer, okay? Don't just go try doing this and blame it on me. All right, so when I asked Jeff Baker about what goes into doing this, he says, wow, man, there's so many different ways to do it. You're going to have a lot of people saying this and that and this and that. So I said, all right, what's the most basic way of doing it? And what do you keep in mind? The first thing he said is wind conditions. It's so important. When you have a 20 by 20 piece of fabric up in the air and the wind picks up, that is a lot of force. It's a sail. You're putting up a sail. Even if you have a 4x4 solid and you're holding it out in the desert and the wind picks up, that thing will pick you right up off the ground. You know, so you really got to be mindful of the weather conditions. That's one thing that you really got to think about. Second, what materials do you have to be able to build this thing? Do you have triangle truss? Do you have truss makers? Do you have steel pipe? Do you have everything needed to put one together? Very important. And then you need to know what kind of time frame are you looking at. Does this thing need to snap together really, really quickly, or do you have a few hours to be able to really build it and to be able to put all the elements into it that you're going to need to in order to make it safe. And then lastly, and extremely important, it's not last, it's just last on the list, but very high in the importance. Can the lift handle what you're going to do to it? All right, really important to know the capacity of that lift. And, you know, when a lift is rated, it's all rated for what's inside the bucket of that lift, not what you put outside of the bucket. The second you start getting outside of the bucket, it just exponentially gets heavier and heavier, and you get putting that much more leverage and that much more force on the equipment, on the machinery. So make sure you know the capacities and the weights and all the mathematics that go into this. It's all really serious stuff, but we're having fun here, and we're going to show you what this tool does once it's built properly. Instead of just talking about it without giving you any idea what it looks like, it's time to show off my little guy. That was weird. But anyhow, here we come. There it is. Martine's Fly Swatter. Pretend my arm is the arm of the lift, and there's the bucket right here. And that bucket would be attached to the top of the arm, and that's where your operator would sit. Here he is. Pretty good to scale too. I found that this little guy, you see, I didn't have a small Condor lift to be able to do this with, so I built this little bucket out of scraps from my kitchen molding. And there he is. I might leave my silk. Oh, there you can see. Look at the harshness, guys. This is what we're trying to prevent by being able to put this big 20 by 20 diffusion frame up in the air. All right, so we have a 20 by 20 frame that's all aluminum pipe. Let's see, maybe if I show it this way. There we go. 20 by 20 frame, aluminum pipe with a diffusion. I've upgraded from pillowcase. This is now actually light grid. How cool, right? And then these black chopsticks are representing, you know, I should have worn Richard Mall's red shirt for contrast, but there we go. These black chopsticks right here, those represent steel, strong, rigid pipe. It's all 1 1/4. It's all Schedule 40. Imagination, guys. And let's talk about what we do. We have this 20 by 20 frame. You have that guy. Set it aside. Build it. Set it aside. You need to build a structure in the bucket to be able to attach to be able to support this guy. So the first thing you're going to do is put on your uprights. You have 10-foot uprights, goal posted together by an 8-foot cross piece right here. It's going to keep those two together. And then these steel pieces go to the front of the bucket to the top of your upright, your 10-foot upright. So you're building a nice triangulated structure right here so that you can attach the kickers. These guys are kickers. They're 20 feet, and they're going to be a rigid support to be able to tie it together to the edge of your frame. Right there and right there. All right, so all these connections are being made with cheeseboroughs, not with amazing flex glue from the Flex Seal folks. Rob Lalonde, you came through again amazingly. We got a bunch of glue from the Flex Seal folks, and it's awesome. This is brought to you by the Flex Seal glue. That's all my little cheeseborough connections. I'll show you what those are. These are just two versions of cheeseboroughs right here. They connect pipe to pipe. So this one is a swivel cheeseborough. So if you have different weird angles that you want to accomplish that aren't just standard, you know, across or having them be parallel, this would be a rigid, and this would be a swivel. Why? Because it swivels. Makes sense. Right here, this guy isn't normally a box. It's made of railings, so you can attach to them. This is where you'd have the swivels. You'd have a swivel here because they're acute angles. So that's why they're acute. Isn't that adorable? But anyhow, enough with my dumb jokes. These are all cheeseborough connections. Right here you see we have a black pipe, steel pipe, attached to the bucket. My buddy, our operator just fell out. That's what happens when you don't wear your fall restraints, your harness. Guys, always wear a harness when you're driving these Condors around, or else you could hit the ground just like Grandpa. Grandpa's about to go to the emergency room now because he just fell from a very, very high lift. I'm going to put him down here, out of harm's way, and keep talking about this guy. These ropes right here go to the very end of your frame. So once you've attached your frame with cheeseborough cheeseborough, cheeseborough, cheeseborough. You can also add some to the ends right here. You attach that to the bottom pipe. You attach your kickers all the way out to the sides of your frame, 20 foot. So these lines, these ropes, will be tied to the leading edge of that frame. They will go all the way up and then down to these handrails back here. You see that is a handrail, and we'll be attaching those. And what do those do? They take a little bit more of the weight off, and they pull and support the leading edge up so that you are pulling everything upwards towards your goalpost. Okay? So you have your aluminum kickers, and you have your lines, and then you have this cross right there of line. People use sash cord, some people use multi-line. Is to keep the diffusion that's in there from whapping up and down if the wind picks up. It kind of keeps it in place. It's called a belly line. Some people do an entire cross underneath, entire cross up above. Other people will put one line on one side in one direction and then another in the other cross, corner to corner, to keep them from flopping and bellying up and down. It helps. People do it many different ways, once again. When I was talking about Jeff Baker's way of doing this, he likes to put together triangle truss on the bottom here on that rail instead of using that piece of steel right there, so that you have more points to connect that to the bucket of the Condor. That's just a little added side note. But that's what we got going here. So we have our diffusion frame attached to the bucket. This is the arm of the lift. Oh no, my line came undone. We'll fix that in the next clip. Guys, I'm learning how to edit. You go into iMovie, you push your clips, you put like join, and then boom, you're editing. I'm putting clips together now. I'm building my skill set. Who said you can't teach an old grip new tricks? All right, I'll see you in this next clip, and we'll show you how we bring this guy onto set. Here we go. Hey there, guys. Thank you for joining me in this next clip, sticking around. Here we are on the set. We have our talent in direct sunlight. So first things first, let's build the Condor base. We need to be able to attach that fly swatter onto the arm and the base of a Condor, or of a lift. So here we go. I took a Matthews babysitter, really awesome, toolless way to be able to mount a nylon plate, a baby nylon plate, into this really cool spring-loaded receiver. Just like that, no tools necessary, ready to go. Has 2 slots. Other slide works just like that. It fits all the major leading plates, all the manufacturer's plates fit in this guy. Really cool. There you go, just like that. Easy beaver board. I'm going to put that right here. And then I took a couple of 2.5-inch grip heads. This one's aluminum colored, this one's the black grip head, and I'm going to attach it to that baby plate. So now we have the base of our Condor. And then here with this really cool Matthews Noga arm and the 2 grip heads, we have the arm to our Condor. All right, so we're going to take our fly swatter, Grandpa, who has all his safety classes, and he's certified to be able to use this lift. Let's pretend he has fall protection on, because it's very important. If you're ever in one of these lifts, you have your fall protection on there. Got to keep yourself safe. These things will catapult you into next Tuesday. That means the emergency room. But here we go. We're putting Grandpa in there, attaching him to the Condor. Normally these things are always attached. If the bucket isn't attached to the arm, do not use that lift. All right, moving on. Here we go. You're always going to have a ground guy. When someone is operating one of these lifts, it's hard for them to see, especially if the diffusion's already in there. They can't really see that well where they're going. So you want somebody on the ground to be able to direct them, to be able to get people out of the way, to be able to call out obstacles. Do it on your own walkie channel. Go get away from all the chatter. Make sure there's a clear line of communication. I carry a little whistle in case there's any emergency. One whistle means stop, 2 means continue, or you use your walkie-talkie and continue. There's also hand signals you can learn, all sorts of different stuff. But you want a ground guy, and you want a guy operating the lift, moving it around, beep, 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 beep. When the boss says, all right, bring in the set, they're going to bring it in to set, get it where they need it. If you need to get really close to the set, you clear the set, have no one under it. Otherwise, you can definitely operate this at a safe height with people on set. So you're going to want to get the base into place where they're not going to see it. It's going to be out of the way for the operators and for anything else going on. And then you're going to want to put this guy into position. So I'm going to loosen my Noga arm and starts rising, sending him up. Can loosen right here. There we go. And then we're going to want to get it right over our talent. There we are. We're giving them some nice, definitely needed diffusion love. There it is. Look at that. So if you notice, we now have our talent diffused, which is really cool, but you have these hard lines right here. There's not many straight lines like that. They're going to leave shadows in nature if you're going to be doing this on a beach, in a park. A lot of times you want to disguise those lines. You want to hide them. People will use edge covers because a lot of times the diffusion rag won't make it to the very edge of the frame. So there's a edge sock or a edge cover which goes all the way around the frame. It's either one big piece or 4 separate pieces to be able to cover that gap between the diffusion and the rail, so you don't have that little gap that tells you there's definitely diffusion overhead. That isn't only for this. People have them for their 12-bys, for their 8-bys, for any overhead frame that you want to be able to get rid of that little gap. That's what they use. A lot of other people will use a garland or a rope that has vine on it, like fake plastic vine, and it will go all the way around and it'll make it a nice bushy, leafy edge, so it breaks it up and doesn't make it such a direct, hard line on the ground. Other times, if you're in the jungle or something, they'll take palm fronds or branches and zip tie them or baling wire them to the edge of the frame so that you can really break it up and give it a different shape than just this standard square overhead. Another little trick that I've seen done with these guys is turning this into a big floppy. You take another 20-by rag, and this one happens to be quarter silk. That's what I had. And they will attach it to the back rail to make this whole big system a big old floppy. Let's see if I can get this all the way over there. Might not be too neat, but let's see if I can do it from this side of the table. Guys, I'm struggling. There we go. You will attach 2 lines to the bottom here so that you can secure it down and tie them down to bags or whatever. And that way, if the sun is setting and you want to have that coverage over the side, if the sun's coming down, and you want to add that other wall of diffusion, or even make it negative. You hang a solid on here, Duvetine solid, and you'll have that negative fill on that whole wall right here. It's just another option, another thing people do, and you just got to make sure anything you're adding to this adds a lot of weight. The ropes that you're using, the clips that you're using, the rag itself, is 20 feet by 20 feet of material. That's going to be very heavy. So just a few different things you can do with these guys. You can attach these to whatever side you want, and it's just another option. So there you have it. It's our fly swatter. It's cool. Normally, the bucket will be able to move up and down, side to side, but then you can move the entire base side to side, right and left as well. So the base will be able to do this motion, like that, moving the whole arm here. I'll bring it back here to show you. You'll be able to go in this orientation. You'll be able to take the bucket and go up and down. And then you'll be able to move the bucket itself right and left. I guess I can do that if let's see. I'm going to do this, guys. Here we go. If I move that down that way, there we go. It would be able to move that way and that way. That did it, right? All right, guys. So here we are in my backyard with a miniature fly swatter. Let's see if I can diffuse myself with it, because that would be super cool. Unrehearsed, unplanned, obviously. And look at that, I'm in the diffusion of my very own little fly swatter. Here you've seen it on our Matthews University, trying to teach you the inside information on what we do, how we grip, how we rig, and how we control light, and how we try to keep it as safe as possible. Thank you so much for following. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for sharing, for your comments, for your questions. And I'm going to put this one to bed. Thank you so much, guys. Take care of each other. And we'll see you next time. Boop, boop, boop. I'm going to stay here and play with this for a long time. Take care.